ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to JVS Stadium, the home of Dandenong Thunder Football Club. Dandenong Thunder would like to thank its 2026 major sponsors, JVS Group,
Test, 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 1, 2, test, 1, 2. Test, 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 1, 2. Can you hear me, James? Can you hear me? Perfect.
Number 6, Filippo.
Help us level the playing field. Sign the parliamentary petition today to fuel the growth and fund the game.
It was rain and overcast conditions this morning. Now sunny and clear skies to round it out. It's been a classic winter's day here in Melbourne, but I'm sure these two sides will heat things up out there on the pitch. For Dandenong Thunder, they sit right down the bottom of the standings in 13th position, only tasting a victory a handful of times this year, once against this Vardar side earlier this season. For Altona Magic, they sit right on the chopping block, around clear of Bentley, with a 4-point buffer in between them. Every game is critical if they want to stay up in the top flight for next season. Welcome everybody to JVS Stadium, home of Dandenong Thunder, as they play host to the visiting Altona Magic in round 22 of the Senol NPLM men's competition. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Stefan Georgic. It's a pleasure to be bringing this encounter, the last game of the round, in what's been a very interesting round thus far. This game could definitely add to that list already. We've just had a game finish at Casey Fields, which isn't too far from here, between Melbourne City and Avondale. Avondale getting the win 3-2 late after trailing the 2 goals. Both these two sides are no strangers when it comes to goals being scored. Last year there was 12 goals combined across 3 different meetings. Today will certainly be no exception. Looking in for team news, looking at the visitors, there is one in. That is Lirim Almazi is into the lineup. No Garang Aru this time round. Looking at the starting lineup, Casey Went is in between the sticks. Hiyori Kawaguchi and Alexander Gus, the 2 fullbacks. Speaking of Lirim Almazi, he will be in central defence, along too with John Stoichevsky. Lachlan Gillard and Eamon Sordo will be in the midfield, the central attacking midfielder of Brian Satomo. On the 2 flanks, it will be Owen McCloskey and Peter Hatsopoulos, and the man up front will be John Mabok. And for Dandenong Thunder, also one change coming in this time round. He hasn't made his start in quite some time, but into the lineup this week will be Arian Kokari. Out of the lineup will be Frank Basassa. He was given a red flag, or a red card, I should say, to finish proceedings last time out against Green Gully. So the starting lineup for Dandenong Thunder will be Luis Alvarez in between the sticks, a back 3 of Mamedi, Ismaili and Akute. On the 2 flanks, it will be Yamamoto, along 2 with Terasaka. Filippo Gioffre and Ali Soleimani are in the midfield. And up front, it will be Arian Kokari, along 2 with Lat Mathiang. And up front, the man from Bentley Greens will be Anthony Lynn. So those are the lineups for both these two sides. Kickoff is underway here in the last game of round 22, as I've just mentioned, as what's been a startling round of so many wins, losses and upsets. Some that came a little bit out of the blue, as we already have an attack here coming from Hiyori Kawaguchi and from Altona Magic early on to kick things off here. A decent turnout here at JVS Stadium. George Andrews Reserve in Melbourne's southeast. About 45 minutes out from the CBD. Here's Hatsopoulos and threads it through in the midfield to Alexander Gust. Here is John Stoichevsky, who was back in the lineup last week after missing a couple rounds, not being selected in the lineup. So it's good to see John Stoichevsky as well back in the lineup for Altona Magic. This between these two sides, it is the 27th meeting on head-to-head. Dandenong Thunder lead at 12 to the only 11 wins for Altona Magic, and they've had 3 draws in between them. Their first meeting was way back on the 26th of April 1998 at Ross Reserve in round 13 of the back then Premier League in the First Division, and it was Dandenong Thunder getting the win 3-1 on that occasion. Altona Magic in possession of the football. Altona sitting 10th on the table, 16 points, 6 wins, 5 draws and 10 losses. They've scored a total of 26 goals and they've conceded 36. They've had 2 wins from their last 5. Let's see if Altona can try and get off to a hot start, as they've already had the possession here early on. It was Owen McCloskey there, who was the intended man inside of the penalty area. Here's Gillard. Works it out up forwards beautifully to Owen McCloskey, who's up front with Giuffre on him. They tried to cross it in up over Yori Kawaguchi. And it's a promising start for Altona. That was going to be a really big, emphatic start if Altona could have managed to put that one in the back of the net for Kawaguchi. Their entrusted defender in the back third, Kawaguchi, the former Sydney United player in NPL New South Wales. Played there in 2023, played 22 games there, including a game in the Australia Cup. Ended up scoring a goal as well in that season. Let's see if Altona can try and break away with a goal, and it's great defending there from Luis Alvarez. The first corner of the game going for Altona Magic there. So really, really promising stuff here to kick proceedings off here at JVS Stadium. What can Dandenong Thunder do? Only a round ago, you would have said maybe they might have regained a little bit of momentum, considering they were able to get that win in that Adam Pittock derby, that 2-1 win that was here, actually. 2-1 on that occasion against the Bentley Greens. Dandenong Thunder were the ones that were tasting victory on that occasion. They've only had the one win from the 5, and that was their only win, and they've just been on a streak of losses. Obviously, it's been tough for the team, considering that they've really lost their entire squad in the mid-season transfer window. Quite a few ended up going to Bentley Greens. You talk about Ben Jeeba and George Mells, along too with their former head coach, Adam Pittock, as I just mentioned. Wade Decker and Jackson Courtney Perkins making the switch over to the rivals in Dandenong City Hajduk. So what is this Dandenong Thunder team going to do as well? Of course, Adam Pittock no longer here. As I've mentioned, they've acquired Ilir Kwanu. This is his 10th game in charge, along too with Devon Bond. Both their 10th games in charge as John Mabok. And Altona just looking to pepper the goal here in the early stages here. 5 minutes in this game. And Altona are definitely not looking shy, as we do have the first free kick coming up here for Dandenong Thunder. Mathiang doing a good job to earn the foul and the free kick for his side. And that's the first free kick of the game. Devon Bond, who I've mentioned, is the standing coach for the suspending Goran Lozanovsky, who had that 17-week ban. His suspension will come to an end next season in round 4. Devon Bond's first game in charge as head coach was in round 13 against the Preston Lions in that 1-0 victory at Paisley Park in the All-Macedonian derby. A little bit of an unorthodox free kick there taken by the taker. Ended up falling down. So a little bit of feeling out still happening in between these two sides. Dandenong Thunder, as you can see, lining up with 5 men in the back third. So already sensing that Dandenong, or Altona Magic, I should say, are already opting to attack. And right there, great bit of defending there by Medicine Mamedi on Peter Hertzopoulos. A good turnout here for the Dandenong Thunder faithful here at George Andrews Reserve. Here's Lat Mathiang in the midfield. Spreads it out wide to Yamamoto, who's one-on-one with Lachlan Gillard, who works it back and receives the football back. And he tried to have a boot there, Kotaro Yamamoto. He was looking really, really promising on the attack. What kind of impact can he make today in his lineup? He's a former Raitsu Kezai Dragons Raigasaki player. Played there from 2021 and 2022. Now part of Dandenong Thunder. Ended up playing in 20 goals there in Japan. Ended up scoring in 3 as well. So 3 goals to his name in that competition. Lachlan Gillard with the football. Threads it into John Mabok. And you can see there the physicality by Ismaili, not allowing John Mabok to win the football and have his chances. He's had 3 goals, or I should say he's had 7 goals so far this year, John Mabok. Definitely a threat once he does get ahead of the football and does have a good look on goal. So definitely Dandenong Thunder, if there's one player that they'd want to man up and really try and give a tough time for, it's definitely John Mabok, a former Melbourne Knights player from 2023 and 2024, scored 1 goal in 17 games, and that was in 2024 in round 4, and a 3-0 win against St. Albans Dynamo in that year. Luis Alvarez goes for the boot. That ball going to be going out for an Altona Magic ball. The referee in charge of today will be Daniel Woodiat, in charge of keeping all of these men under control. Special shout out as well to all of the referees out there that do an incredible job, not only in the Senol NPL Victorian competition, but right across Victoria and Australia. They do quite the job, so take our hat off for them. They're the one that runs our great game here. Casey Wentz is well outside of his penalty area. Just looking to try and find an opening here. Dandenong Thunder just really bombarding the middle of the park at the moment early on. Akute goes down the line. No one really there. He tried to find Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn, as I've mentioned, a former Bentley Greens player, was part of Bentley this year. Ended up playing in 15 games, scored 1 goal as well, so possibly not the greatest of years or seasons, I should say, for Anthony Lynn, considering that he's definitely one that can get ahead of the football and try and make a couple of shots happen. Keep your eyes out for the Englishman. So Casey Went just holding the football here, and they're just trying to get a feel here of this Dandenong Thunder side. Very defensive oriented at the moment, running with 5 at the back, 4 in the midfield. So definitely switching up the play, they could tell in the first couple of sequences of play. Altona Magic's attacking prowess up front. Here's Kawaguchi, works it to Ayman Sordo. Tries to whip it in this time inside the penalty area to Hertzopoulos, who's one-on-one with Yamamoto. Owen McCloskey, I should say. Tries to get it back in. Alexander Gust inside the penalty area. And he's definitely a man that can definitely get involved, and a player that Altona Magic have been able to rely on for quite some time. It's his 71st game that he's making for Altona Magic today. Hasn't quite scored a goal this year, but he did score 2 of them last year. Scored a goal in a round 18 1-1 draw against Hume City at home, and backed it up 2 games later in a 3-2 win against Green Gully at Green Gully Reserve in round 20. But he's definitely the fullback that can really switch and rotate from a fullback right up front to a flanker. So keep your eyes out for Alexander Gust. On the numerous occasions that I've seen him play, he's definitely been quite the aggressive player, especially when Altona Magic have needed that player to step up and really spread. There is Alexander Gust, right when I spoke about him. And a free kick coming up here for Altona Magic. There's a couple of players getting in and around Daniel Woodiat to try and give him a little bit of convincing, but I don't think Daniel Woodiat will be changing his mind anytime soon. The last time these two teams faced off was earlier this year. On the 18th of April, it was Dandenong Thunder who had a 4-2 victory at Paisley Park all the way back in round 9. One man who's out there on the pitch was able to score a goal on that occasion for Dandenong Thunder. That was Lat Mathiang, who scored in the 4th minute of that game. Altona Magic, one player for them who ended up scoring in that game to try and work them back into the game was John Mabok, who scored in the 61st minute then. This could be a promising attack here. Speaker John Mabok inside the penalty area, tries to cross it in, and Luis Alvarez, who ended up getting the hands on the football, but it is going to be a corner coming up here for Altona Magic. So Luis Alvarez there with the goalkeeping, ball deflecting off of his hands and awarding Altona with their second corner of the game thus far as we approach the 13th minute here. It's been a bit of a stagnant last couple minutes. What can this corner provide? Alvarez with a punch away. Here's Stojcevski. Well, tries to whip it back in. Could this be a chance? Goes straight into the hands of Alvarez, and you can see the urgency there from Alvarez as he sends the ball all the way back for Altona Magic. Ball works its way up forwards to Owen McCloskey out on this near side. And that ball going out as well. Here's Casey Wentz. Ball goes right down the line. John Mabok was there. Instead, it's Owen McCloskey who tries to have a kick. And that one being saved by Luis Alvarez. So both of these two teams, nothing happening in this game thus far. Nothing really made of any attacking opportunities. As we've had a player out there on the pitch who's not too sure if he's undergone a number swap, but number 13 for Altona Magic. Having a look on the team sheets, it's definitely not in the lineup for Altona Magic, so we're just trying to work through it here. And it is Gavin Tasevski, so my apologies everybody. Gavin Tasevski, who's out there for Altona Magic, a late minute swap for them. And here is Gavin Tasevski, speak of him, who's brought down by Lat Mathiang. This game so far between these two sides, definitely no real attacking options for either one of these two sides. It's been Altona Magic in the first couple of minutes that were looking promising, and ever since then, as you can see there, as I've mentioned already a couple of times, Dandenong Thunder having 5 in the back, not allowing Altona to try and attack whatsoever. So if you're Ilir Kwanu, he's definitely done a good job at realizing and recognizing some of the key strengths that Altona Magic does possess, especially in the center of the park. Whenever they've looked promising, it's definitely been throughout the center. Ball's thrown back in here for Dandenong Thunder. Here's Stojcevski. Works it out to Hiyori Kawaguchi. Out to Ayman Sordo. Here's Stojcevski once again. As I mentioned, good to see him back in the lineup as well. What can he provide as he works his way in centrally as he's brought down there, and it will be a free kick coming up once again here for Altona Magic, and a yellow card being awarded here. And a very early yellow card there for Dandenong Thunder. I believe it might have been to Ariane Kokari with a yellow card there. So the first yellow card of the game being awarded to Dandenong Thunder there. Very defensive game thus far. You can definitely tell the tension in the air from Dandenong Thunder. They're definitely sick and tired of these losses mounting up for them. They'd love to get back on the scoring column and get a win. Hatsopoulos was there, but lost the football. Sordo on that left-hand flank, trying to win the football and the possession back for Altona Magic, and he does. Kicks it up forwards to Kawaguchi, who's going to try and cross it in, but was very, very off balance when he tried to cross that one in. And Ali Suleimani tries to keep the possession alive in this counter-attack for Dandenong Thunder, and they've just got nothing whenever they've won the football. When they do start progressing on their attack, they've just got too many numbers in the back third. That every attack that they're having is just being lost, and its possession being given straight back to Altona. John Mabok and Hatsopoulos, who lost the football just then. Kurkari lost it as well. Alexander Gust works it out wide to Kawaguchi, who's got Mathiang for company. Gets it back to Alexander Gust, who's been pretty much everywhere in this game so far. The work rate from Alexander Gust is off the charts in the first 18 or so minutes in. Owen McCloskey, who had Lachlan Gillard for company. A chip in here as Luis Alvarez does a good job at goalkeeping and catching that football. So Altona, they're just experimenting here at what's possibly their best opportunity to try and have a clear shot inside the penalty area. But at the moment, definitely that extra man in that back third is definitely killing Altona. Mathiang back to Suleimani, who's going to work it out wide. Terasaka back out to Akute. Favor Akute. What an acquisition he's been ever since he's joined. Made his debut back in round 19 against South Melbourne. That 1-0 loss that Dandenong Thunder had pushed South Melbourne all the way to the line. It wasn't the greatest of goals that did end up going in for South Melbourne, but a goal was a goal. Possibly not the one that they'd like to have gone in, but on that occasion it was almost a Dandenong Thunder side that didn't really have anything to lose on that occasion. They were able to get the job done. And it's Owen McCloskey there doing a good job at breaking Merci Mehmeti's kick down the line. Giofre. Back out to Merci Mehmeti. It's his 7th season part of Dandenong Thunder. Merci Mehmeti. Played in 2020 and 2021 for the Eastern Lions, where he played in 5 games in his tenure there before making the switch. This is his 83rd game for Merci Mehmeti. He's played in 16 of them so far this year, I should say. Scored a goal as well. Here's Ayman Sordo for Altona Magic. What can he make of this shot as it goes and bounces off the woodwork? And Altona Magic are just doing everything they can to try and pepper the goal here on Dandenong Thunder. Very heavily on the back foot here are Dandenong Thunder. Vardar doing everything they possibly can to try and get a goal in the early stages here. Yamamoto brought the football back in. He was the intended man once again. And it still will be Dandenong Thunder's football here. And they're just slowly progressing their way up the pitch here. Could an opportunity be looming here? Suleimani, who's been given the football to throw us back in. Ball's going to be thrown into the penalty area. And there was a really promising shot there, but nothing was made there by Arian Korkari and Dandenong Thunder. Here's Yamamoto. And he lost that football as well. So just the physicality between these two sides at the moment. You can definitely tell it's got a lot of tension brewing in the air here between these two sides, neither of which want another loss to their season. The last time Altona Magic had a win against Dandenong Thunder was back in 2024 in round 17. That was here in round 17, and that was a 4-0 win on that occasion for Altona Magic. Can they try and revel and look back and try and get back to those glory days of getting a win for them. Ever since that occasion, it's been Dandenong Thunder that's had their number. Mathiang inside the penalty area, and a corner coming up here for Dandenong Thunder, and the first one of the game. Ali Suleimani. He's going to take this corner for Dandenong Thunder. Boy, would this be so sweet if they can convert after they've been absolutely one-sided by Altona Magic thus far. Ball's inside to Mathiang. And a really good bit of defending there from Altona Magic, who managed to work the wall back. Alexander Gus spreads it up forwards. We've got a pack of seagulls out here on the pitch. John Mabok tries to cross it back in. He had Ayman Sordo inside the penalty area, who was just progressing up forwards, but a very, very tough kick to execute there for John Mabok. And nevertheless, though, another sigh of relief here for Dandenong Thunder. El Mazi with the header. Here's Alexander Gust, who's not playing in his traditional position, normally playing in the left back. Now they're using him somewhat of a central attacking midfielder, if I'm not mistaken. Just roaming in and around the middle of the park, just creating a little bit of headache for Dandenong Thunder, not allowing them to know where his next move is going to be. Lachlan Gillard with the football. Sordo manages to win the football for Altona and keeps it in possession for them. Here's Gillard out on this right-hand flank. The ball's going to be whipped in for John Mabok inside the box. And that one way too ambitious there for John Mabok. Luis Alvarez read it well. As I've mentioned already, a very, very one-side game here so far between these two sides. Altona, their last win was back in round 20, only 2 rounds ago. A 3-1 win at Green Gully Reserve for them. It was quite the impressive one. Some might have thought that maybe Green Gully would have possibly walked away with the 3 points there, considering that they managed to find a little bit of form in that little cusp of the fixture. But here comes Altona Magic, and that one deflected straight off Merci Mehmedi. But it was Altona Magic who did a really good job at trying to win and get back in the winning column there. It was John Mabok who ended up scoring in that occasion, along with Owen McCloskey and Jesse Langer. 3 goal scorers for Altona Magic. Last week took on Heidelberg United at Paisley Park, keeping Heidelberg United to a 0-0 scoreline. Gillard and Alexander Gust. There's just a sea of black and white whenever Altona Magic look to try and progress the football up. Here's Sordo, who's one-on-one with Akute, with Terasaka for company. Tries to intercept the football. That one works it back to Kawaguchi. Sordo out, beautiful ball. 1-2 from Gus to Kawaguchi, who was progressing up well. He's another player as well to keep your eyes out for. Whenever he works the football up, he definitely gets on his run and he's able to progress up forwards. On multiple occasions he's been able to cross the ball in a multitude of different games. Definitely another key asset for Altona Magic. Let's see what they can make from this corner. Ball's going to come back in, and that one tried to be knocked away and was by Luis Alvarez, and instead there will be another throw-in coming here for Altona Magic. So Dandenong Thunder, they've been very, very heavily on the back foot here. As we approach 27 minutes in this game here, there hasn't really been any signs of attack for Dandenong Thunder. What can they try and do? Obviously a very somewhat inexperienced squad compared to this Altona Magic squad that's definitely been able to develop throughout the entire year. Haven't made too many changes in the mid-season transfer. Haven't recruited too many players. The main one being Ilya Shamalalov Trankova. Made his way over from South Melbourne. Ilya Shalamanov Trenkova. Ended up playing in the OFC Pro League for South Melbourne. We played in 5 games. Ended up having 1 clean sheet over there as well against PNG Hekati and a 5-0 victory there. Did make his debut back in round 18 against the Bentley Greens in a 1-0 victory. Was on the bench last week in round 21 against Heidelberg United. As we do have a play-up that's gone down here for Dandenong Thunder. And it is Filippo Gioffre who ended up copping a really, really bad ball to the side of the head. And we are going to have the medic to come out and just to check he's all right. That was a really, really big ball that he ended up copping to the scalp. So hopefully he's all right. And we are just going to have a bit of a stoppage in play here. It was a big day of football last night right across the Senol NPL Victorian competition. Had so many results going across a multitude of different teams. It was St. Albans Dynamo who ended up having a 3-2 victory against Hume City. Heidelberg United and Caroline Springs George Cross. That game once again ended 0-0. There was 0-0 between Green Gully and Dandenong City. A 2-0, or 2-1 win, I should say, in favour of South Melbourne against the Oakley Cannons. And it was a 1-0 win behind closed doors at Jenna Steele Stadium between Preston Lions and the Bentley Greens. And not too long ago, it was a 3-2 victory against Avondale, fighting their way back down 2-0 against Melbourne City. Great job for Avondale working their way back. The current live standings, Avondale have managed to reclaim their position in third on the table. It was Preston's win last night that ended up clawing them up to third before Avondale's victory only moments ago that's reclaimed them that third position. Oakley well out in front on 7 points clear against Hume City, 47-40. Preston and South, both retrospectively 4th and 5th. Heidelberg United, who haven't tasted a victory since they played Dandenong Thunder all that time ago. Caroline Springs George Cross, they sit in 7th. Melbourne City sit 8th. St. Albans Dynamo sit 9th. The way that things stand, Altona Magic will reclimb up against Dandenong City in 10th. Dandenong City in 11th. Bentley Greens 12th. Dandenong Thunder 13th. And Green Gully sit in 14th. So we're just waiting on the medic to check if Filippo Gioffre is all right. He ended up copping a really, really bad ball to his head. And obviously, we've got to make sure that with any contact to the head, that player's all right. So just checking to make sure that Filippo Gioffre is all right. Don't want to go any further without him not being okay. The former Nunawading City player in VPL2 played in 19 games last year, 5 of which he played in the under-23s, and he played in 6 games in the Doherty Cup competition last year. Ended up scoring a goal in round 5 against the Whittlesea Rangers as well. And that 7-2 win at Mohanese Reserve. Made his debut for Dandenong Thunder in that round 19 clash against South Melbourne. So we're just going to have to wait and see if he's all right. Just doing a little bit of checking, doing a little bit of running out here on the sideline. So momentarily, Dandenong Thunder are down an extra man. Can Altona capitalise? They've been on the attacking prowess ever since this game has begun. It's been all Altona. Can they keep the pressure? And Filippo Gioffre just giving a wording to Ilir Kwanu, letting him know that he's all right and ready to get back out there on the pitch. In the meantime, we do have a free kick, or I should say a throw-in, coming up here for Altona Magic. Oh, McCloskey, who's bombarded in the corner here. Lachlan Gillard tries to win the football. Harian Kokari was in there as well, and it's Dandenong Thunder's Anthony Lynn managing to win it. And the ball will be with Dandenong Thunder, indicated by our referee, Daniel Woodiat. As the sun slowly begins to set here at George Andrews Reserve. Dandenong Thunder not in the ideal placings that they'd like to be, all the way down in the relegation places. The last time that Dandenong Thunder were relegated from NPL was back in 2015, and that year they ended up having 26 points, where they finished 14th, 4 wins, 3 draws and 19 losses. They were able to get promoted back in 2017, but they got really close to relegation once again in 2019, where they finished 12th, ended up on 26 points, 6 wins, 6 draws and 14 losses. So it'll be 9 years since they were last relegated, and this could be a chance here for Altona Magic to really cement them back in those relegation places. And a good bit of defending there by Dandenong Thunder, working it all the way back out to the corner post. Glad you could be with us wherever you may be watching, not only right around Victoria, but right around the nation as well. A Saturday evening of football to conclude round 22. 5 games occurred last night. If you weren't watching, definitely recommend you get out there and look at the scores as John Mabok inside the box just goes down for a second. And a little bit agitated there. I think he caught the ball on the bridge of his nose. Not the greatest of places to be making contact with the ball, so he might have had a little bit of pain on the bridge of his nose, that dash, but nevertheless, though, he's back. Altona, they've switched to having 3 men right across the midfield, with Gavin Tasevsky as the central defensive midfielder, with having Peter Hatsopoulos and John Mabok up front. Dandenong Thunder, they've altered their lineup as well. They've gone back to having 4 men in the back third as opposed to the 5. It was Alexander Gust who kept the football alive on that left-hand flank. Hatsopoulos trying to keep it alive. What can this possession provide here for Altona? There's a kick there, very, very off-timed by Ayman Sordo. It's a very, very sloppy game thus far here. Game that's lacking in a little bit of intensity from both these two teams. Hasn't been a clear shot on goal. Hasn't been really any clear type of passage from both of these two sides. It's all been very sloppy, and both teams have just lacked that intensity and firepower in this game thus far. But this could be a chance here for Dandenong Thunder, and once again, just a bit of a sloppy mistake there. Ariane Korkari held the footballer for a little bit too long. Mabok controls the ball in his chest. McCloskey, who's one-on-one with his melee. Hatsopoulos tried to progress the football up, and Medicine Mehmedi doing a really good job. The awareness of knowing he didn't have anyone behind him. Just sliding that football back and straight into the dugout onto the substitutions bench of Dandenong Thunder. And it's been a really, really sloppy game. Right on execution there with that just give away the football there. When they've had a throw in Dandenong Thunder, they've just given the football away. They haven't tried to work for it, haven't tried to really set up any type of sequences of plays here. Not just from Dandenong Thunder, but for Altona Magic as well. They can sense that Dandenong Thunder there not really in this ball game at the moment, and they're not really setting up their sequences of plays, Altona, to the way that they'd like to. Tasevsky with the header. Lachlan Gillard now works it out to Owen McCloskey, who tries to cross it in towards the back post in the penalty area. It was Terasaka and Ayman Sordo, and it was Dandenong Thunder's football. These two teams, they've only met once before in a round 22 fixture. We see a bit of pressure being put here on this back third of Dandenong Thunder, but they've only met once in around 22 fixture, as I've mentioned. That was back on the 10th of July in 1999. There's a chance there for Dandenong Thunder from that long kick down the line. It was a 4-2 win on that occasion for Dandenong Thunder at George Andrews Reserve. Here's Sordo. What can he make? They just need one opportunity. Altona Magic do, and straight into the hands and at the body of Luis Alvarez, who almost let go of the football there. But Dandenong Thunder can just have a sigh of relief there. Alexander Gust works it back to Casey Went between the sticks. Altona Magic, they've never finished higher than 6th on the standings. That was back in 2023. John Mabok one-on-one with Favor Akute. And that one being kicked out of harm's way over the touchline. Kawaguchi goes quickly to Sordo. Beautiful ball to the charging Kawaguchi, who'd had Peter Hertzopoulos in his sights. Here's Alexander Gust, who's in the penalty area. And that kick is mistimed as well. A lot of mistimed kicks here. They're just being shanked off of the foot. Here's Gust. Beautiful attacking play there from Ayman Sordo. He was progressing up well. It was a great one too, but the finish nowhere near to the standard that he'd like. But as I was just previously talking about, Altona Magic, they never finished higher than 6th on the standings. That was back in 2023. They had 41 points on that occasion. They had 13 wins, 2 draws, and 11 losses that season, and they suffered a 5-0 loss to the Oakley Cannons in that elimination final at Jack Edwards Reserve. And ever since then, they haven't really been the same side since. They've just been sort of towards the lower end of the table, fighting for that 10th, 11th place. I'd possibly call them the survival specialists. Last year, they were somewhat in this exact same position, and they managed to survive and stay in the top flight once again. Can they do it again? Last time Altona was relegated was all the way back in 2010. Back in the Premier League, they finished 11th on that occasion. 22 points in that season, 5 wins, 5 draws, and 12 losses. They were actually relegated on the back of 2 back-to-back championships in 2008 and 2009 in the Premier League. They're able to get back up and promoted into the top flight once again in 2018. Mehmeti with the ball down the line. Gillard did a good job at winning it, and great ball there from Alexander Gust to Hertzopoulos. Could this be a chance here? He's got space, Hertzopoulos. What's he going to do? He tries to go for a little bit of a boot. And I have no idea what his intention was there, Peter Hertzopoulos. He didn't really have any clear target. He had Ayman Sordo that was working his way towards the back post. But I think that was his only option, but I think he could have possibly done a little bit better at having that shot. Here's Sordo once again. Here's Lachlan Gillard. Out and works it out to Owen McCloskey, who's still got the football and a kick inside. And that one just goes across the face of the goal. And another corner coming up here for Altona Magic. They've got this momentum in this game slowly. 41 minutes into this game. And they're slowly starting to work the cobwebs off them after that last encounter against Heidelberg United. One of these shots has to go in for them. You just have a feeling they're really putting Luis Alvarez through his test today. That corner, a bit of a low one. Wasn't intended for anybody. Gavin Tasevsky does a good job at reclaiming the football straight into the hands of Luis Alvarez, who's definitely been put through the ranks so far this evening. Lachlan Gillard winning the football, and it's a free kick being awarded to Altona Magic. Bit of a tough tussle there between Lat Mathiang and Lachlan Gillard. Kawaguchi on that left-hand flank position, who's got Felipe Giuffre. Here's Gavin Tasevsky, who's been part of the squad since 2024. Played in 5 games last year. Let's see if Altona can try and have a chance here, and that one going over the byline. And it's just been sloppy turnovers from both these two sides. That one being given right back to Dandenong Thunder. It's like both the two sides, they want to get a win, but they don't really want to try and fight for anything here. That's almost what we're sensing at the moment. Next week, it's the Dandenong Derby for Dandenong Thunder. They'll take on Dandenong City right here at George Andrews Reserve. That'll be at 7 p.m. next Saturday. What a game that one will shape up to be. Both Dandenong squads who, if you compare from last year to this year, very, very vast change in the way that both the two sides have undergone. Dandenong City, who ended up going all the way to the Senol NPLM Grand Final. Dandenong Thunder, gone all the way from finishing in 3rd last year on the standings to now 2nd to last on the table, nearing relegation down into VPL1. And if they keep this up, I think some VPL1 sides as well might fancy having them down in that competition as well. Here's Kawaguchi inside the box. And that one once again being given away. Both the two sides just giving the football away. But that one, the offside there, indicated by our linesman. Bit of pressure being put here on this Dandenong Thunder back third. And it's eventually won in favour of Altona. Ayman Sordo. What can he do on this occasion? Works it back to Sordo from the pass from McCloskey. Alexander Gust and a fast-charging Terasaka doing a good job to win it back for Dandenong Thunder. And once again, another sigh of relief here for Dandenong Thunder. And that was a really, really risky situation to be in if you're Dandenong Thunder, being pressed up very heavily by that attacking third of Altona Magic. Here's Kawaguchi once again. And they're just mistiming some of their passes here as we have 2 minutes of added time to go here to complete this first half at George Andrews Reserve. Ayman Sordo to bring in this corner towards the front post. Intended man was John Mabok, and that one going out over the byline. So Luis Alvarez with the goal kick. Ball goes all the way to Anthony Lynn, the intended man. Here's John Mabok. Could this be one more chance here for Altona? Ayman Sordo works it in centrally. Possibly one last roll of the dice, and once again, just another mistimed kick, and you can see the frustration in Ayman Sordo's body language, just not happy with the way he's executed a lot of his kicks. That could take a long two with John Mabok and a bit of a tussle there. Here's Sordo once again. Reclaims the possession and works it back to Alexander Gust, who finds Tasevsky in the middle of the park. Spreads it and switches it out to Lachlan Gillard, and that one just kicked off the footing there by Korodo Yamamoto. Alexander Gust had two Dandenong players on him in Anthony Lynn and Lat Mathiang. Alexander Gust once again working it out to Ayman Sordo. They've gone to him on multiple different occasions here today. and hasn't quite been able to produce anything for Dandenong Thunder. And there is the full-time whistle here at JVS Stadium. Half-time here. Both these two sides very, very shaky here in this first half. No real indicator at who's going to take the game on a stronghold. Altona Magic, they were looking promising at delivering some attacking plays, but they weren't really able to finish off a lot. And vice versa, Dandenong Thunder, who had possibly one clear shot on goal. And the way that things stand, I think this game definitely a little bit tense from both these two sides. So definitely some fatigue possibly might be playing a factor in this encounter. But we'll go into the halftime here at JVS Stadium. It is Dandenong Thunder 0, Altona Magic 0. We'll be right back with plenty more action. Second half is back in this little break. Welcome back, everybody, to JVS Stadium here between these two sides, Dandenong Thunder and Altona Magic here in Melbourne Southeast. It was a very, very on and off first half between these two sides. It was Altona Magic who had more of the attacking opportunities compared to Dandenong Thunder, who didn't really have anything to work with. As we get set for second half action to get underway here, Dandenong Thunder are getting ready to make one change as we commence this second half. It is Adrian Tahiri who's getting ready to make his way on, and there is the official confirmation. Filippo Gioffre is off. On will be his replacement in Adrian Tahiri. Just about getting ready for Dandenong Thunder to get into the huddle and just have their last minute little pep talk before we commence this second half. One more half of football to be played before round 22 is done and dusted. Again, the last time these two teams faced off against one another was earlier this season. It was Dandenong Thunder who had a 4-2 victory on that occasion at Paisley Park all the way back in round 9. This time round, 0-0 as we went into the half. Let's see what this second half can try and muster up. Of course, just that one change, as was just noted. Adrian Tahiri makes his way on after that really, really bad headshot that Filippo Gioffre ended up copping about halfway through that first half. So hopefully he's all right. Again, any type of headshot or anything, any contact to do with the head, definitely doesn't want to be taken lightly, considering that it was quite the shot that he got from point-blank range. So hopefully Filippo Gioffre is all right, and hopefully he can play from the rest of the season moving forwards. Altona Magic, however, though, already looking promising and strong. Here's Alexander Gus, works his way from right to left, out inside the box. It's an empty little penalty area. And it was very, very close there. Ariane Kokari was the man, but John Mabok was trailing. And Alexander Gus has definitely been exceptional in this evening's game so far. It's definitely been in and out of the entire football, no matter where you've looked. Definitely the most energetic player that has been out there for Altona Magic. Here they come once again. Here's Peter Hertzopoulos. And it's Akute kicking that one away. But Lachlan Gillard, though, is down. And we are going to have the first little stoppage of this game. Last time out, when these two teams faced off against one another, there was definitely no shortage of goals. 6 goals combined on that occasion. 2 goals ended up coming within the first 5 minutes of the game. First one by Hassan Jallo, and the second one by Lat Mathiang. So Dandenong Thunder pretty much had that game won within the first 5 minutes of that game. Definitely came out with a bang. Let's see if Altona Magic can come out and do the exact same thing to begin this second half. They've been awarded with a free kick here. This could possibly be their first real shot on goal that they have had all evening from both these two sides. So let's see what can be made here. Ayman Sordo looks to be the taker of this one. And it will be Hiyori Kawaguchi to take this one with his left foot. And the ball just going and sailing over the crossbar. As we're going to have the ball brought back in play. But the first free kick of the game that's possibly been of real opportunity for either one of these two sides. Hasn't really been too many free kicks in this game at all. Been somewhat clean. The physicality has been there, but the thing that's really been lacking in this game has been the intensity and the urgency from both these sides. They've been really, really strong in their defensive thirds, but there's no point in having a strong defensive third if you can't get anything up ahead in their attacking third. And Altona Magic, they've looked strong in their attacking third, but some of their shots on target haven't quite been as good as they would have liked. A lot of missed kicks and a lot of knuckleballs and everything, and I'm sure that's one thing that Devon Bond would have said to them in the halftime break. Got to try and have some cleaner shots instead of just letting the ball go. This could be a chance here. Ayman Sordo works it inside. Could this be a chance? And that ball, great bit of defending there by Luis Alvarez. See if Altona can try and regroup and do it again. Gillard tries to chip it in. John Mabok was inside the box. Ayman Sordo is still in the penalty area. It's a dangerous position here. Little bit of a back flick there from Hiyori Kawaguchi. And it's a really, really promising sequence of play there to begin this second half for Altona. And if you're an Altona fan watching this, you love that sequence of play. The attacking ability there, just really not shy to go for that goal now. Something that both teams might have felt a little bit reluctant to do so in that first half. We're trying to feel each other out and just see what they could do, where could they exploit one another. And if that sequence of play is anything to go by how this second half will unfold, then strap yourself in, everybody, because this second half could have a goal in abundance. Here's Stoichevsky. Works it out wide to Ayman Sordo, who's intended man so many times. And Luis Alvarez once again. Exceptional bit of defending there. Luis Alvarez being put through his paces at the moment. He was put through his paces in quite a number of occasions in that first half. And already, in the first 5 minutes of this second half, he's being tested heavily. Can he hold up is the question. Great win back for Altona. Arian Kokari was there, and that indicated by our linesman that ball did end up going over the touchline. And the ball still with Dandenong Thunder. It was a very impressive week this past week for quite a couple of Senol NPL Victorian sides in the national competition in the Australia Cup. Last week, 2 VPL 1 squads getting the job done and getting a couple of really, really handy wins, cementing themselves in the round of 16. Brunswick Juventus getting a 4-0 win over Football Queensland side Marlin Coast Rangers. We might have to hold on to this one. Here's Terasaka with the chip in. And Casey went his first test, and that one going straight into his hands. But Brunswick Juventus getting a 4-0 win against Football Queensland side Marlin Coast Rangers. North Sunshine Eagles as well. They ended up getting a win as John Mabok is looking promising here, as that one is won by Ismaili. Doing a good job at winning it and getting the football out of harm's way. North Sunshine Eagles, they ended up getting a 3-2 win over MPL South Australian side FK Belgrade. So both VPL 1 squads doing a good job at promoting themselves and progressing in the national competition to the round of 16. And just this past week, both Senol NPL men's sides, Heidelberg United and Preston Lions, booking their place as well in the round of 16. Heidelberg United, a 3-0 win over Football South Australia side, Cumberland United. And how about that Tuesday blockbuster at Jenna Steele Stadium? Preston Lions retreating 2-0 against the reigning Australia Cup champions and the reigning A-League premiers Newcastle Jets. For they were able to fight their way back. It was 2 goals from Noel Bonada and Daniel Lazarevsky with a winning header, managing to give Preston a 3-2 victory at Jenna Steele Stadium. The scenes there were electric. 5,000 people plus packing out Jenna Steele all the way at BT Connor Reserve and Reservoir. That was definitely a sentiment to all the hard work that they had. Still to come this week, South Melbourne, they'll take on Adelaide United on Thursday, the 30th of July, 7:30 p.m. at Lakeside Stadium. What an encounter that's going to be. It'll be huge if South Melbourne can get the win and put all 3 Senol NPL men's teams into the round of 16. Mamedi tries to whip the ball into the box. He had Anthony Lynn in his sights, who's definitely been quiet this evening. The entire attacking third for Dandenong Thunder has been really, really quiet. But with the way that Dandenong Thunder commenced this game with having 5 men in the back third, it's almost destined that they were playing a very heavy defensive game. Mehmeti goes down the line to Korkari. And the ball won by Lachlan Gillard for Altona. And just a little bit too much sauce on that kick and the offside call for Altona Magic. And you just knew the moment that one was let go of his boot from Lachlan Gillard that one had offside written all over it. And the ball will work its way all the way back to Luis Alvarez. If you want to talk as well about the entire Victorian football scene, Melbourne City, they have their Australia Cup game happening tomorrow at 2 p.m. at Hunter City Motor Group against the Western Bears, who sit second in the Northern New South Wales competition. Western Bears, who sit 4 points behind Broadmeadow Magic, who played in the Australian Championship last year. As well, Melbourne Victory, they'll take on Kingsborough Lions United tomorrow at 5 p.m. at Kitchen Centre Park. Kingsborough Lions United, who sit second in NPL Tasmania, behind South Hobart. 41 is South Hobart, 37 Kingsborough Lions. South Hobart, who were in the Australian Championship as well. So a couple of sequence of plays there, and a yellow card being awarded to John Stojcevski from Altona Magic. So 2 yellow cards in this game. One for Dandenong Thunder early on in that first half, and one just then being awarded as well to Altona Magic's John Stojcevski. We have a substitution getting ready to come on. Idon Airovski will be making his way on, and he'll be making the switch for Arian Korkari. So that is the substitution. 2 substitutions in this second half. Arian Korkari, that's his day done and dusted. Idon Airovski will make his way on. Idon Airovski, the young attacker, made his debut in the matchday squad in round 18 against Hume City. It was a 3-1 loss here at home for Dandenong Thunder on that occasion. Ball worked out to Hiyori Karaguchi. Here's Sordo, who's somewhat trapped momentarily there by Terasaka. Ball through to Kawaguchi once again, who's been really, really strong in this game. Tries to cross it in. Couldn't really pull the shot off to the best of his ability. Tairi with the header. Controlled with the chest by Kawaguchi. And Dandenong Thunder end up winning the football. Could this be a chance for them in this attacking sequence? Here's Mathiang with a couple of options ahead here. He decides to go down the line to Suleimani. And great bit of defending there from Almazi, kicking that football away just in the nick of time. Was possibly the best a chance for Dandenong Thunder to try and really have a real shot on goal. Something that they've been missing up ahead. Haven't been able to provide too much attacking prowess, and it's just been missing up ahead. Just that attacking ability. They're just missing that piece that really keeps them, just keeps that Altona Magic back third at bay. That prowess up ahead. Something that they're missing ever since they've had both Wade Decker depart, George Mells. It was something that provided them with that stability up front. And you can see it with the way that they play. Altona Magic, they're able to really just have the numbers up ahead. Not having to worry too much about them being in the back third. We're just waiting up here. Dandenong Thunder's bench not happy, protesting that Casey Went might have taken a little bit too long bringing the football back in play there, and Devon Bond, hands on his head there, frustrated with that play. Just give the ball back to Dandenong Thunder, and it's something that Altona Magic, they haven't really done too often tonight, giving away some sloppy passes like that. The only times that they've really given the football away is when they've had some really bad shots up at the box. Altona Magic going to have the ball directly in front of us here. Yori Kawaguchi, what a player he's been. Former Northern Tigers player in New South Wales, as well as a Sydney United player as well. Here's Lachlan Gillard on that far side. Came through the under-23s, Lachlan Gillard did. Last year. Played 3 games, scored 1 goal. That was in round 26 in that 5-1 win against Melbourne Knights, Lachlan Gillard did. Alexander Gus still progressing the football here. What a sensational player he's been so far as he just goes down inside the penalty area. Too much steam in his run there. Anthony Lynn trying to control the football for Dandenong. Great little flick back from Ayman Sordo to Kawaguchi, who's got Terasaka one-on-one. Balls with Sordo. It's definitely been a really big target for Altona. Hatsopoulos, beautiful ball forwards to John Mabok, who's inside the penalty area. Tries to chip it back, an open goal, and the first one finally falling. And it's Owen McCloskey finally finding the back of the net. And Altona finally find their goal. And that's Owen McCloskey's 3rd goal of the season. His last one came back in round 20 against Green Gully. And finally finding his way back on the scoring column. They were looking promising on so many occasions, Altona were. And finally, after so many attempts, finally able to find the back of the net. And it was mounting slowly and slowly and slowly with the amount of attacks that they had. It was only a matter of time before they were able to finally hit the back of the net there. They had 11 shots to complete that first half, and they've definitely doubled that in this second half. So really exceptional bit of play there from Altona Magic, and it was mounting the amount of pressure that they had that they were applying up ahead. And finally, that gave one for their hard work. And here is Owen McCloskey once again. His 18th game this year, and he gets his 3rd goal. And a really hard-fought one as well. Dandenong Thunder have not made it easy for them. It's been a really hard-fought game this evening. But there's still 30 minutes to play here, folks. And anything can happen in this funny game we play. Casey went, works it out to McCloskey once again. And our referee, they just keeps the ball and the play commencing. Here's McCloskey once again, cutting it in centrally. And he goes down there. Our referee, Daniel Woodiat, doesn't call anything. He says, keep the ball playing, lads. McCloskey trying to win the football back for Dandenong Thunder. Ball all the way back to Lachlan Gillard, another player who's been very possession heavy in this game, especially in that first half. Kawaguchi to Gust, works it out to Sordo. They've gone to him so many a time tonight. Ayman Sordo, the former North Sunshine Eagles player. What can he do here? Out on this left-hand flank, tries to whip it across. Can this be another chance? Ball still ahead. Kawaguchi with a kick. And Kawaguchi, that's his 2nd one that he's had that he's really loaded up. He had one really early on in that first half. And he's definitely got his kicking boots out, Yori Kawaguchi. Definitely not afraid to just let one go. And you can see there, 15 shots for Altona Magic. They have just bombarded that Dandenong Thunder goal. Only 3 shots for Dandenong Thunder. They've been very heavily outclassed here this evening so far. Dandenong Thunder, who've came into this game, they've conceded 46 goals. This will be their 47th goal they've conceded this year. There's a great interception there by Alexander Gus. Can they get a second one? John Mabok out to Ayman Sordo. Could this be a chance? And he finds the back of the net as well. And the goals are ramping up here. Ayman Sordo, his 3rd goal of the season as well. The former North Sunshine Eagles player. And that is 2 goals within the matter of minutes for Altona Magic. And that is what you want. If you're Devon Bond, you're loving that from your side. They were mounting heavy pressure there. And finally, he was the intended man so many times. They knew they could find something with him. And Ayman Sordo doing a beautiful job at finishing that football. And all the way on this left-hand side. Managing to thread the ball into the side of the net. Superb job from him. Played 8 games for the North Sunshine Eagles last year. Managed to net 5 for him last year. And that is his first goal since all the way back in round 13 in that 1-0 victory at home against Preston. What a victory that one was. And Dandenong Thunder now find themselves on the back foot heavily here, down 2 goals in the manner of about 5 minutes, not even. And that's pretty much exactly what Dandenong Thunder did at the beginning of their encounter earlier this year, at the start of the year, or at the start of the game, I should say. Dandenong Thunder were able to net 2 goals in the span of 2 minutes. And Altona Magic managing to revel and do the exact same here. 2 goals in the span of about 5 minutes. So they've been mounting heavy pressure on that Dandenong Thunder goal, and it's finally starting to pay off here for Altona Magic. And you just knew it was coming, the amount of pressure that they were soaring, and they might be in for another one there, as it was John Mabok putting some heavy pressure there on Tarasaka, trying to bait them into a little bit of a mistake there as the ball was working its way back to Favor Rakute. That's Altona Magic's 26th goal of the season so far. Their away record this year sits at 2 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses. They've only had 2 wins away from home. That was in round 1 in that 3-1 win at National Stadium against Hume City, and they had a round 16 3-2 win against South Melbourne. And this could be a chance once again here for Altona Magic as the intensity is lifting. Ayman Sordo, as it's Adrian Korkari actually who's down, as we are going to have the trainer come on just to check if he's all right. He did go down as well after a little bit of a collision between himself and Hiyori Kawaguchi. So if things were to stand here, this will be Altona Magic's 3rd win away from home. Their home record so far this year, it hasn't looked too promising either. They've only had 2 wins at home, 1 draw, along with 6 losses. Their only 2 wins that they had was in round 11, a 1-0 victory against Dandenong City, and then of course that round 13 1-0 win against Preston Lions in the Macedonian Derby. So back up underway here. Alexander Gust, definitely the man of the match so far this evening. Not playing in his traditional left-back position. They're using him as somewhat of a number 10, but also rotating between a number 8 as well. Ball's out with Lachlan Gillard on that right-hand side. Works it in to Owen McCloskey. Out once again to Lachlan Gillard. They're connecting well, connecting some really good passes. Owen McCloskey tries to cross it in, and that one won't go. And a couple substitutions now getting ready to come on for Dandenong Thunder. It's Ahmed Elmi along too with Sunny Zijai. They're getting ready to work their way on for Dandenong Thunder, but we just might have to wait as we have a free kick coming here for Altona Magic, and boy would they love to put 3 on the scoreboard to really put the dagger in the heart of Dandenong Thunder. Again, the last time that they had a win was actually here back in 2024. It was a 4-0 win on that occasion back in round 17 on the 8th of June. And the way that they're going, they might be on track of doing so. So it's Ayman Sordo with the free kick. Ball's going to be come in. And that one just whipped out of harm's way there by Dandenong Thunder. Gavin Tasevski going to work the ball all the way back to John Stojcevski. Finding Alexander Gus. One-on-one with Adrian Tahiri, who was the man down momentarily. Hatsopoulos tried to work it out to Hiyori Kawaguchi, and our substitutions will work their way on here. So we do have Ahmed Elmi along to with Adrian Tahiri. Adrian Tahiri will be making his way on for Kotaro Yamamoto. And the other player, Ahmed El Mali, will be making his way on for Terasaka. So those are the substitutions. Ahmed El Mali makes his way on. Along to with Sunny Zijai. Sunny Zijai, former Eastern Lions player back in 2020 and 2021. Played in 5 games there, the centre forward. The 25-year-old, and already looking to try and make some type of inclusion in this game. Suleimani. And we are going to have an Altona Magic football. And Oliver Kellart is getting ready to make his way on as well, on standby as a substitution for Altona Magic. So one more substitution getting ready for Altona Magic, as we do have another card being awarded to make another substitution for Altona Magic. So that's 4 substitutions for Dandenong Thunder. None yet for Altona Magic, but we do have Oliver Kellart, who's ready on standby to make the first substitution for Altona Magic. Sordo, who's one-on-one with Lat Mathiang, who hasn't really had too much of a strong game, Lat Mathiang. And here's Kawaguchi, works it and stops on a dime and tries to cut his way onto his right foot. Akate. It was Elmi who he had in his sights there to try and win the football, and that one just going out. So we are going to have a throw-in and a corner, I should say, correction here for Altona Magic. 3 goals could be looming here for them. Balls work back one-on-one. Sordo tries to cross it in. He had Anthony Lynn directly in front of him. A really tough shot to try and execute there, but we are going to have a second corner coming up here for Altona Magic. Elected to go short on that occasion to Peter Hatsopoulos. And Peter Hatsopoulos is right next to him as a possible option for him to go out. And Hatsopoulos looks to be going back towards the box. And this corner's worked it in that time and can't quite manage to work that one in to anybody. And that one going over the woodwork there. An official substitution, Oliver Kellart, will be making his way on for Ayman Sordo. So the goal scorer, the most latest goal scorer, Ayman Sordo, that's his day done and dusted. On will be coming Oliver Kellart. Oliver Kellart, a current Sri Lankan international player, former Iceland League player and Hume City player in his own right. Played from 2021 to 2024 in Iceland in the first tier, second tier League Cup and Domestic Cup. Played in 55 games, ended up scoring 6 goals in his tenure there before making the switch last year, joining Hume City, where he played in 19 games and scored 2 goals. Scored 2 goals in the very last game of the season against St Albans Dynamo in what was a 4-0 victory for Hume City to finish off the season. Here's Gavin Tasevski, who was just tripped up there by Lat Mathiang, and our referee reaching into his pocket for a yellow card. And a yellow card will be awarded to Lat Mathiang, as a couple of players just getting into it there. But Lat Mathiang, instead, though, he'll be given a consequence for his actions, and a yellow card will be awarded his way. As our referee giving him the official yellow card there, Daniel Woodiat. I'm glad you could be with us wherever you're watching, right around Victoria and indeed nationwide. Last game to round out round 22. And what's been a very one-sided game so far in favour of Altona Magic, in a season that possibly hasn't been too desirable for them. And it's been a season that's been very identical for them last year, in a very identical position. Only managed to survive and scrape away from those relegation positions and solidify themselves in the top flight. Can they do the same thing this time around? With the way that the table sits, they're going to be 3 points clear of Dandenong City. They will promote, or I should say, they will demote Dandenong City down into 11th position. Altona, they'll be promoted up to 10th, only 1 point behind St. Albans Dynamo and 4 points behind Melbourne City. Just have a look at some of the squads that have been promoted, some of the sides that have been promoted into the Senol NPLM Victorian competition. Obviously, Bentley hasn't been desirable for them, have just had an enormous amount of injuries for them. At one point, they were missing 10 men in their squad. Obviously, a very big mid-season transfer window that they had. But you have a look at teams like Melbourne City, that obviously them being an A-League side have definitely been able to use a couple of those A-League players. Medin Mehmedi, they were able to use him at their disposal, along with a couple other players. Along too with having the ability to bring in players like Kai Truen from their A-League squad and use them in different times of the season that possibly some opposition didn't really think that they'd be using. They're doing a good job sitting in 8th, and then obviously Caroline Springs, George Cross, which for a big chunk of the season have been sitting right in that top 6. So a shout out to the Georgies, who have done a phenomenal job this year. They've been able to sign in the mid-season transfer window Hassan Jallo as well, and adding him to that already strong squad with Eric Vasiliadis. So you can just see the disparity between VPL1 and Senol NPL Victoria. Just the quality right around the football scene is incredible. As the corner comes in towards the front post, it was headed away by Dandenong Thunder. Oliver Kellard trying to keep the ball alive. He's actually working his way all the way in the opposite direction. Almost did Dandenong Thunder a little bit of a helping hand. And that one going over the touchline there. So we are under 15 minutes to go here at JVS Stadium. Altona Magic done an exceptional job this evening at really being the dictating team, setting the tempo. They did a really good job in the first opening play, just setting the tempo, knowing that they were going to be on the attacking front throughout the entirety of that first half, and they've done exactly that in this second half. Dandenong Thunder, they've only had one attacking chance, and that was from a connection with Lat Mathiang and Ali Soleimani. And ever since then, it's been Altona Magic that have altered in a different gear. John Mabok in the center of the park, works it beautifully to Owen McCloskey. And he'd love to give Owen McCloskey another one, who's just been in and around the play everywhere, who ended up scoring his third goal in the first goal of this encounter here tonight. He'd love to get 4 for his season. Didn't have a goal last year in his time for Port Melbourne Sharks. He played in 23 games last year. He's a former Melbourne Victory Academy player, Owen McCloskey. Joined the club at the start of the season. Before this game, his last goal was all the way back in round 20 against Green Gully in that 3-1 win at Green Gully Reserve. And before that, they had a goal back in round 16 against South Melbourne in that 3-2 win at Lakeside Stadium. Here, Satsopoulos tried to go to the charging John Mabok, but he couldn't quite connect with that. Just a little bit too much momentum with his run. Motu's next for Dandenong Thunder. This is definitely not the season that they would like. They haven't had a win in quite some time. Hasn't been ideal for them this season. For a team who last year their home record was 9 wins and 4 losses without a single loss in the home and away season, to this year only having 2 wins at home. Those 2 wins were in round 6, a 3-0 win against South Melbourne, and only 2 rounds ago in a 2-1 win against Bentley Greens. It's been a very, very change of events for them from season to season. And as Kawaguchi tries to cross it in, and that one hitting the roof of the net for Altona Magic. They'd love to get a third one on the scoreboard for them and really cement this game as over and out. Oliver Kellart with that attempt there, just hitting the roof of the net with that header. Love to get on the scoring column, he would. Before Dandenong Thunder's round 20 2-1 win against Bentley, you have to look back all the way to round 10. That was in the Dandenong Derby. That was their very last win. So if you were to exclude the Adam Pittock Derby, is what it was labelled as, you have to look back all the way to round 10. That was their very last win, and it was a 1-0 win at Frank Holohan against Dandenong City. They could be staring at the cusp of another loss. Here's Oliver Kellart with all the space in the world, and he waited a little bit too long there on that occasion, but it was an offside call well and truly before he could get anywhere ahead. Just got a little bit too excited there. Definitely outnumbered the back third, Altona Magic did, but just a little bit too excited there, Oliver Kellart, and getting himself offside there. Ball just being booted from one end of the pitch to the other. Alexander Gust wins the football and clears it out wide, but still will be in possession with Dandenong Thunder. We have one more substitution getting ready to make his way on. The newly recruited Chang Hee Lee is getting ready to make his way on, along too with Jesse Langer. 2 players that are on standby, ready to go for Altona Magic. We'll bring you the substitutions as they're officially announced. Here's Lat Mathiang. Works it, cuts it in beautifully. Good little sequence and possession of play there, but just lost the football outnumbered on a 1v4 out on this near side. So Jesse Langer and Chang Hee Lee just being told to get warm and warm up just a little bit more so that they're ready to get back out there and make an impact. Next week, round 23, shaping up to be quite the round as well. For a multitude of different reasons, Altona Magic, they'll take on Caroline Springs George Cross at home. 3:15 p.m. kickoff on a Saturday. And Dandenong Thunder, they'll take on Dandenong City in the Dandenong Derby. That'll be kickoff here at George Andrews Reserve at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in coming down, I highly recommend you do so. Especially after what this past week has shown us, the disparity between the NPL and the A-League is closing in more and more, with that massive win from the Preston Lions against Newcastle Jets. South Melbourne can get the job done against Adelaide United. That'll really make a big conversation. Heidelberg United were able to do that last year, getting 3 consecutive wins against A-League competition. A 3-0 win against Western Sydney Wanderers, and then it was a 4-0 win against Wellington Phoenix, followed up then as well by a 2-0 win against the Premiers Auckland FC in their semi-final before going down to the Newcastle Jets. So there's definitely an argument to say that the NPL competition is right up there with the A-League sides. Luis Alvarez goes right down the line and tries to clear it out. He did try and go out, but he couldn't quite clear it on that occasion. Tried to go out to Mersin Mehmedi, but just overcooked his pass a little bit too much. El Mazi directly under the drop zone between himself and Airovsky. And here are the substitutions getting ready to make their way on. Chang Hee Lee will be making the switch for John Mabok. And the other substitution getting ready to come on, Jesse Langer, will be making the switch for Peter Hatsopoulos. So we'll just wait for those substitutions to make their way off. That is Peter Hatsopoulos and John Mabok's days done and dusted. On will come the new recruits in that mid-season transfer window for Port Melbourne. Or for Altona Magic, I should say. Correction. Chang Hee Lee, a 25-year-old right winger from South Korea, joined the club in the mid-season transfer window. A former FC Bentonit Levan player, along to playing at Gakuan F. Mospuryo. Played at Bentonit Levan in Armenia in the Independence Cup in the Armenian First League. Played 11 games and scored 3 goals. Then went on to play in Japan at Gakunan S. Mospuryo in the Tokai Soccer League, Division 1. Also played in the RL Champions League. Ended up playing in 5 games there. Was also part of the championship winning squad there in the Tokai Soccer League. Part of that squad. And for Jesse Langer, he debuted for the club back in round 20 against Green Gully. That 3-1 win, he was a goal scorer in that game as well. So just adding to some more firepower. Here's Lido Melmazi, clears it out. Could this be a chance here for Altona? They're just slowly mounting a bit of pressure here. As it was Owen McCloskey once again the intended man, and he has been the intended man for quite of some of this second half. So we slowly work our way. 3 minutes to go until the conclusion of regular time. We might see a couple of minutes of added time before we see out the conclusion of this game. Looking through some other fixtures to come in round 23. Bentley Greens, they'll take on the Oakley Cannons on Friday night at 7:30 p.m. Preston, they'll take on Green Gully. At 8:30 p.m. Hume City, they'll take on Melbourne City. That'll be at Nassau Stadium on Saturday at 2 p.m. And Avondale take on Heidelberg United. That was a big marquee matchup last year. It was a battle of the top 2 on the table. Slowly, both those two sides aren't really at the strength that they're at compared to this time last year. That game will be unfolding at 2:30 p.m. at Avenger Park. Of course, Altona Magic, they'll take on Caroline Springs George Cross at 3:15 p.m. next Saturday at Paisley Park. The big Dandenong derby between Dandenong Thunder and Dandenong City. Kickoff here at 7 p.m. And then one more game to conclude on Sunday next week. 3:30 p.m. kickoff between South Melbourne and St. Albans Dynamo. So that is your round 23. And then, of course, the following weekend after that, we do have the Doherty Cup final between the Preston Lions and Heidelberg United. That game, an eagerly anticipated one. That game at Lakeside Stadium. What a game that one will be. It's actually going to be a week off for the men that week. Still, the Senol NPL women will be out there playing as well. So get on down and watch the Senol NPL women's competition as well that weekend. The Doherty Cup game is going. Suggest you get your tickets as well for the Doherty Cup game as well. That one will definitely be a big game between those two sides. That game will definitely add to the storied rivalry that both of those teams have had. One more minute of regular time here at JVS Stadium. And a handball call there. And it still will be with Dandenong Thunder. We'll wait for our fourth official to indicate how much minutes of out of time we have. Free kick coming up here for Mersin Mehmeti. What can he do here for Dandenong Thunder? Could he possibly go for goal? Maybe try and put Dandenong Thunder back in the game here and maybe try and go all out with 1 more minute to go. Ball's going to be whipped in here from the corner, or from the free kick, I should say, and that one awarded nowhere. Luis Alvarez goes big up high. And it's Kawaguchi clearing that one out. And our fourth official will indicate 4 minutes of added time to go here to complete proceedings here between these two sides in what's been quite the one-sided affair here. Altona Magic from the start of the kickoff to now have outclassed Dandenong Thunder in possibly every way you could imagine. The survival specialists are doing an exceptional job at surviving and making a claim that they'll be back in the top flight once again for next season. A credit if you are anyone that's involved in the entire Altona Magic Vardar community. Everyone at the club shows the hard work that you've put in. You can see it with results like this. A very dominant performance here tonight. Here's Lat Mathiang. Clears it out to Zijai. Elmi, who lost the football there by Jesse Langer. And it still will be with Ahmed Elmi. He's going to throw the ball right down the line. He had Anthony Lynn in his sights in the penalty area. Both the sides just exchanging in possessions here. Ball's back in possession with Elmi. He's going to go forwards to Zijai. Here's Favor Akate. Another acquisition that was brought in for Dandenong Thunder. Made his debut in round 19 in that 1-0 loss at Lakeside Stadium for Dandenong Thunder. Adding another body in that back third for them. Tairi works it out to Mehmeti. Tries to go up forwards. Anthony Lynn, who's got Almazi for company, and Almazi just knocking that one away and out of play. So coming into this game, it was 4 straight games that Altona Magic have not tasted a win against Dandenong Thunder, and this game will definitely break that curse. As I mentioned, the last win that they had was back on the 8th of July, and one more substitution coming on here, as it will be David Masalkovsky, I should say, making his way on, and the other substitution will be Henry Monching. He'll be making his way on for Lachlan Gillard. And the other substitution as well was Gavin Tasevsky. That is Gavin Tasevsky's day done and dusted, along to with Lachlan Gillard. So we're slowly going to round out proceedings here. We've got 1 more minute left to play, if not about 30 seconds or so, as just waiting on Henry Monching. He's had his necklace still on, so just had to wait for that removal until he was allowed to be brought out onto the pitch. Alexander Gust, what a player he's been tonight. Sensational for Altona Magic, a well-deserved player. Definitely the man of the match in my opinion. And free kick, possibly one last free kick being awarded for Dandenong Thunder. Not too long to go. Oliver Kellart wins the possession back for Altona. Suleimani and works it all the way back out to Tahiti. Back to Ismaili, who's got the ball in the centre of the park. This could be one last roll of the dice here for Dandenong Thunder. Here's Mathiang, who was the goal scorer earlier this year against Altona. Can he try and cross it in? A little bit too much on that kick. And that one will go out of play. And another missed opportunity in what's been a very poor outing for Dandenong Thunder this evening. Possibly not the evening that they'd like. And just about ready for our referee Daniel Woodiat to blow the final whistle. And there it is. Altona Magic get the 3 points here out on the road as they travel to Melbourne Southeast against Dandenong Thunder and end up winning the game here at JVS Stadium. It was a very hard-fought game between both the two sides. A very close first half, but Altona Magic, they were in a different class tonight. Out-reveled and completely decimated Dandenong Thunder in what was a very one-sided affair. It was 2 goals, one by Owen McCloskey, the other by Ayman Sordo, that sealed the deal for Altona Magic here this evening. And just like that, Altona Magic, they went into half-time completely one-siding the game. They had 11 shots on goal. 2 were for Dandenong Thunder. And to complete this second half, absolutely wiping Dandenong Thunder out in a very convincing fashion victory for them. And Altona Magic, they'll use this one in a whole heap of confidence. There are the official stats there. 18 shots, 11 of which were on target. Dandenong Thunder only had 1 shot in that entire second half. So a very one-sided affair there. This will boost Altona Magic up to 10th on the table. 26 points, 3 points clear of Dandenong City, 1 point behind St Albans Dynamo, and 4 points behind Melbourne City. That is going to do us here, down here at JVS Stadium. The 3 points going the way of the visitors, Altona Magic. Thank you so much for your company, wherever you are watching, right around Victoria and the nation. I'm Stefan Djordjic, signing out here from JVS Stadium. The full-time scoreline is Dandenong Thunder 0, Altona Magic 2.